Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the Gaia Daily for June 20th through 24th, 2022. Some powerful numbers here today as we move into the energy of the next season. We're at a turning point and the astrology is speaking to this. It's all about a preparation for this great leap into the Aquarian age, into the true and full potential that humanity has, that supernova souls have already experienced and are here to demonstrate to humanity. So we've had a very intense combination of astrology, of very positive and a lot of tension aspects over this last week leading up to this solstice. Now there's a moment, it's kind of like a peak moment, a turning point moment, and the energies are changing. The main thing around this is Mercury coming out of retrograde shadow. So Mercury has completed officially its retrograde shadow, but still in square to Vesta. Vesta, the asteroid goddess of sacred path and purpose, and in Pisces. We're looking at reclaiming an huge activation from that Sagittarius full moon. And last week, and now we're being asked to reclaim this quest, this path, this purpose. But it's got to be in alignment with our highest spiritual truths. And that's difficult to align with because we don't even know who we are. We only have hints and clues that we're not being who we are. So this is what's happening. And so Mercury in square to Vesta and Pisces is giving us an opportunity to, we also have Neptune transits and very powerful energies of healing the Piscean age. This place that we have been put by the continual attack again and again on light workers, those that, have come to be the truth of this potential that humanity can attain or is, the gods we are, and we've been literally kept in quarantine for thousands of years. And it's about time for that Jack in the Box to pop out. The song is over, So there's this kind of huge culmination energy because we've had this very powerful astrology of the sun for that full moon in square to Neptune, T-square with the sun and the moon. And that we've felt over this, we've continued to feel all the way up to this solstice energy. And, but also the sun in trine to Saturn. And so this is about who we are and who we think we are. In Gemini, we're coming back into our voice and our message. And it's a very powerful energy with Jupiter and Mars and Chiron and Aries kind of giving us this gumption to grab a hold of our life and our life force and power again. And then Mercury coming out of retrograde shadow. But then this very dynamic set of astrology saying, wait a minute, right? This is a completely, we're poised at the edge and we have no choice, but it's so different than what we thought. And we're still landing home. We don't know who we are. It feels like we're in from that Jupiter Mars conjunction that happened in eclipse season, timeline marker. And but there's like this 6-month recapitulation energy that before we can really move on that timeline, right? So we're landing the timeline and we're adjusting and we're preparing. And the astrology that we've been feeling is telling us exactly what this preparation is about. Because Jupiter will turn retrograde at the end of July and move back into Pisces and then back into Aries and back into Pisces in October and then back into Aries as it turns direct on December 21st. So 6 months from now, are you ready? And so if we look at this astrology that's led up to this solstice, it's very important messages for us. And the main energy has been this Mars-Chiron conjunction, and that's just coming off, and Venus North Node. And so Mars and Chiron is this kind of getting over our wounds of where we gave our power away, and it's kind of like, and then all this Neptune transits, it's like releasing that grief of the Piscean age and throughout time where we've been persecuted energetically for just trying to bring positive change. And kind of being like, yeah, that wasn't pretty. And those of us who continue to incarnate in the Piscean age, I tell you though, that's making your separation and defragmentation from the lower ego personality constructs, which is the matrix, which is how we're programmed and controlled. It's making it a lot easier. This is the deal. People who have influence and power are, typically throughout time, are people of character. We've talked about this with Supernova Souls, the reluctant leader. You have all of the things to be this great leader, including character, because you've been beaten down. And now is it time to stand up and reap the benefits of all you've been through? We have no other choice. And ironically, the benefits mean allowing ourselves to feel supported and loved and held and working as a team and coming back into, there's this whole other world available. We've been working on this. We've been creating this, not even realizing what we've been doing, just by holding on to that thread of possibility through these darkest times. And what we've done is we've created an alternate reality. We literally have the power to do that. That alternate reality is their actual, more true reality, and it's how we slip out of this matrix trap. So right now, it's about receiving and allowing ourselves to be in that alternate reality, to be that co-creator. And then that kind of, I can feel that trigger feeling like, oh my God, that's a huge, overwhelming responsibility, and I'm not up for that, and I'm just a little, speck of insignificance, right? And it's like, oh, we got some. It's interesting because it makes me think of what supernova is. The concept of supernova is about a star that has come to the end of its life, but it's actually starting the next phase. And sometimes supernovas become space dust, where other galaxies and stars are created. And sometimes supernovas become white dwarfs, like wisdom keepers. And so we are space dust. We are the potential that creates worlds. And so how do we go from feeling lower than low and less than worthy? This is our huge, the whole Uranus and Taurus activation. And we've had, Venus has been with Uranus in the North Node. Now Venus is in square to Saturn. And so this is saying, you cannot be in this new reality with that low self-worth. They don't go together. This is abundance reality, abundance economy, because we're finally going to live the truth of who we are as access to creation energy right in our very own body. And so it's just coming down to this whole thing of, can you receive and are you worthy? Because one of the main things we're feeling right now is Jupiter and Mercury in an exact sextile today. Sextiles are 60 degrees apart, and Jupiter is in Aries and Mercury is in Gemini, right? And this is our whole new wave of new energy, because it's like, grab a hold of it. Here's your opportunity. You can make this change. You can do this. You can grab a hold of your life and your power, right? And that's the Jupiter and the Jupiter and Aries. Then we've got Mercury and Gemini coming into its forward motion out of this retrograde eclipse season. All right, time to finally express and take action and put it out there in the world, what we really want to do. It's time to launch, but maybe we have this, maybe it's a soft launch because we have the 6 months of preparation. And so the launch is defined by this astrology right now. And Mercury coming out of retrograde shadow is this like, oh yeah, I think I have the confidence finally to put something out in the world and move forward in my business or whatever we've been trying to figure out for the last 2.5 years, But then in square to Vesta, it's like only if it's in alignment with the highest, your highest service, which is this co-creation, which actually feels really good and satisfying. And that feeling of being held and loved and working together with the elements and the energies and your community and your team, very different from being in total isolation, barely making it through day to day, right? So it's so dynamic to have this powerful sextile between Jupiter and Mercury, representing the new energies and new possibilities that are available. And then the squares with Black Moon Lilith, Jupiter, Black Moon Lilith. We've been feeling this for this last month, really, and we'll feel it into July. But here's a crux point, because now that it's interacting with Mercury in the sextile, it's amplifying these energies. So Venus and Taurus, our self-worth, our love, our home, our safety, security, the garden, our permission, in square to Saturn in Aquarius. This is the new laws and rules. These are the changes we need to make to do it a different way. We can only move forward in alignment. We can't go back the old way. Those timelines are disintegrating and falling away behind us. And so this is saying that we got to activate into our intuitive power. That's the Uranus Venus. The only way forward for the feminine, which is in all of us. We're talking about our access to intuitive power within. And now saying that is the fabric and the structure of our new reality is based on this higher intuitive ability that we've lost and gotten disconnected to. And everything in this paradigm is trying to work against just us putting together our higher technology that's available in our own body to become these co-creators, to be able to think with our right and left brain. Huge agendas over time to try to interfere with our ability to do this. And the stars and the planets are saying, it's time, the tide's turning. We got to grab it. We got to go. We got to get up, get out of victim. That's that Mars Chiron. It's like, yeah, you feel ineffectual. You feel like you failed. You feel like you don't deserve to be even here on the earth and breathe air. Oh my goodness. Supernovas. We got to get that warrior back up and ready to roll and healthy and whole and get that feminine dusted off and pull her up on the horse as well, So these are the messages. And it's interesting that there's this beautiful poised sextile solutions of taking back our power and expressing who we are in the world. But they're being held back by these tension transits with the asteroid goddesses. And then Venus square Saturn. So it's all triangulating back to our reclaiming. Our reclaiming of our power and life force is a reclaiming of our intuitive gifts. And we don't even know really what that means, but I'm sure you're feeling the changes. And in a way, it's like it's very uncomfortable because growth is never comfortable, right? And we're kind of at that point where are you going to, the choices we're being asked to make for humanity is like, are you going to stay in that square place of stagnant, like controlled, processed lifestyle and programmed box? Or are you going to commit to grow? And that's who we are. That's what supernovas are here. This is why you've gone through it. That's why you've been like healing and purging and learning and all this. And then nothing has ever amounted to anything, right? That's that wound of the masculine. All this work and it's nothing paid off. Well, it's because that work is invisible. And we haven't had a value system to recognize that. But now we do. This is the new era we're moving into. Now, it's interesting because as we look at the backdrop of this whole story, this whole month we felt Saturn at 25 degrees Aquarius and Neptune at 25 degrees Pisces. So that's a semi-sextile. That's one sign over, 30 degrees. And it's a very mystical, magical thing, because typically, like, the energies of Aquarius and Pisces, very different. Masculine, feminine, fixed, movable, just air and water don't go together. They interact, but when they're exactly the same degree, 30 degrees difference, like if you find this in your birth chart or in comparative charts, magical combination of working across the divide for solutions. And so this semi-sextile is very interesting because Venus is interacting with both, right? So Venus is in a square with Saturn, and Venus in Taurus coming to the end degrees, 25 degrees. She's completing her time in Taurus, so we're getting to the crux, just as Jupiter's completing that square with Black Moon Lilith, our deepest, darkest, hidden secrets around our disconnection from the mother and from love and care and source and all of it, healing these deepest wounds. So, but Venus is also in a sextile relationship with Neptune. And so when you have these two together, you've got tension, which is like pushing change. You can't keep going the way you're going. So the feminine cannot move into the Aquarian age disempowered. And, the empowerment of the feminine is this intuition, is coming back into the value of our energetic power. And so that's the only way forward for us. But then Venus is in sextile to Neptune, and we've also got Vesta in that square with Mercury in Pisces. So Neptune and Pisces, Vesta and Pisces, you get a sense of how dynamic this is right now. And so Venus in sextile to Neptune at the same time as in square to Saturn is this, again, a mystical combination. And this is saying, the old way isn't working. We've got to do it completely different. We've got to come into this feminine power. And then this Neptune is like kind of showing us, the sextile to Neptune is showing us a attainment of this. It's a picture of that feminine healed from the persecution, elevated back into society, and becoming that holy grail, that receiver of the bounty and the love and the abundance, getting her off the street and back in the garden where she can flourish and be supported and be the fountain of life for all to draw from. And so very powerful messages and energies, and just know that we are poised at this edge. This is a major turning point, and yet we have to recapitulate and reorganize and to be able to really take that leap when Jupiter moves back into Aries. And very powerful when Jupiter will make this transit back over that cusp, because that Pisces Aries cusp started this whole story as far as the Piscean age. At the beginning of the Piscean age, the greater conjunctions that happened between Saturn and Jupiter happened on the cusp of Pisces and Aries. It represents the birth of Christ consciousness. So Jupiter moving back over that Aries point in December, right now we're like, whoa, this energy is here and available. What are we going to do with it? And then can we handle it? And how do we get over our fear programming? And wow, I've got these higher intuitive gifts, but it kind of makes me feel crazy. And I can't talk to anybody around me. I've got to go find my people. So this next 6 months is a recapitulation. And maybe it's about allowing ourselves, all these Venus transits energies and the Black Moon Lilith energy. It's like allowing ourselves to receive and come back home. Powerful energies. We've got Mars still in Aries, Venus in Pisces, and then Venus moves over, Venus at home in Taurus and moves into Gemini in just a couple of days on the 22nd. So these last few degrees of where Venus is at home and Mars is at home, and we're going to lick our wounds and we're going to heal and we're going to stand up and we're going to get going again. And kind of, I'm seeing this kind of feeling of supernova souls, what you've gone through in this life and previous lifetimes in this kind of feeling of being beaten down completely, and to the point where it's just like, I give up, I surrender, I don't even know who I am or what I'm here to do, or whatever. And then as you stand up, as that warrior stands up, the cloaks and the dressing and the personality constructs and the roles and all of our attachments from these past lives of unresolved timelines, they stay on the ground. They are falling away. And it makes me think it's almost like that fabric of the roles we've played is fraying. This is a big trap that's kept us in the matrix, is this unresolved mission and purpose. And it's weird because it's like, yes, we're being asked to get in alignment with our true spiritual purpose. But we have to understand that in order to do that, that's about becoming in alignment with who we really are as God consciousness. We got trapped in the past through personality constructs and some idea, some contrived notion of a story that we were supposed to do. And then, of course, we failed because, it was like we got all fired up on these missions, and then, of course, it was like almost like just in order to sabotage us, to beat us down, right? And so, but then we've just never healed fully from this feeling that we didn't fulfill our mission and purpose. And so how can we come back into it? And yet your mission and your purpose and the role you played and the clothes you wore and the shoes you wore, the path in a lifetime, that's totally different in another lifetime, right? Like the healthy evolution is to release all that and you have a whole new role to play. But we're stuck in these because when your path and purpose, you're like heading in that direction, and you feel like you're playing your role, you're doing your thing, and then it's interrupted. Typically, what happens, it seems like, is supernova souls come right back and incarnate again and try to get right back on that path and purpose, but it's a different lifetime and the timeline's all messed up, and it's just a tangle because you're trying to complete things that aren't true to who you are anymore. I mean, this is a good metaphor for where we're at right now. Like the fabric of realities, fraying, but we're getting tangled in the detangling. And that's this personality constructs. And it's like, we're like grasping for something to hold on to of who we are and what we're doing in our path and where we're going. And it's been 2.5 years of this energy for supernova souls. And so much of this is about unraveling those stories from the past because it's a trap. It's like, oh, you didn't fulfill your purpose. So there's this unresolved thing, but it was all a story in the first place. And the trap goes all the way back to the fall of Atlantis and this kind of blame shame energy that we took on as supernova souls, because we were part of the energy that brought technology, these advanced technologies, and then we took responsibility when they were misused. But the advanced technologies we were working with, right in our very own body. And ironically, it's so weird because we're all waiting for this disclosure of technology that we know we have. It's in our cell phones, but we haven't, we don't know about this alien technology. And it's almost like this message of like, we can't get a disclosure to humanity until we, as advanced intuitive beings, claim back our free energy, our technology. It's kind of, I don't know, that's just the message. It's like, sometimes these messages come through and they're just more confusing. It's like, oh, great, clarity, a message. It's like, no, this is going to make you feel more confused. Sorry about that. But sometimes the more questions answered, the more questions you get. And this is how life is right now, because we're discovering that everything we've been told, our whole existence and reality, is based on lies. So no wonder we feel lost. But that's the only way back home, right? Until we allow this ego death and this separation, and you're ripe for it. You're prepared for this. This is exactly what you came for. In this lifetime, you set this as your course. And now it's like, get on the course with that higher self. And this guidance and energy that you've been praying to and trying to work with this whole time, turns out it's who you are. And that yellow golden light is trying to land, come through your crown, literally, and incarnate. It's been outside of yourself, your God self. You've already done this stuff. Now we got to remember, and awaken and find that strength and confidence to have that complete turnaround, this turning point, right? From that low self-worth, can't receive, can't open my heart, totally lost. I'm trying to figure out how to get myself through this life. And then resting, receiving, and allowing yourself to come back into that garden, into that place of feeling held and loved. And for supernova souls, that's very difficult because we've been so persecuted. We've often also chosen very karmic relationships with our early caregivers. Very difficult if you choose your arch nemesis as your primary caregiver. And so we haven't felt loved, but maybe we chose all that from the very beginning of this lifetime so we could undo this whole bullshit reality. I should unravel it all the way back and come back to our direct and beautiful connection to the source. This right here within us. Nobody can take it. We don't need anything from outside. What does this world look like when we are contained and overflowing? This is what source is asking us to do, to finally take responsibility. This is this Jupiter. It's like, haven't had access. Now Jupiter, Mars, and Aries is like, there it is. There it is. Don't say you don't have access to it, because there it is. Now, what's keeping you from receiving it? Ugh. All these ideas, the deep and profound low self-worth that supernova souls have, this whole story of how we failed and all that is like so deep, and we're so sensitive. We just took it on, and we just drank that Kool-Aid. And now we have to unravel all of that, because we have to stand strong and true in our power and who we are. And we can't just stand in it. We have to express it. We have to share it with the world, or we're never going to be satisfied in this experience. And but it's just the dissolving of the personality constructs, the ego death, the rearranging of our psyche, the facing that we are so clueless and have no idea what's going on, and just letting it all wash away and to come home. And I'm kind of seeing this inner child, but it's like a Buddha self, and it's like a child Buddha, and kind of just like resting and meditating with the animals in the garden. And this is kind of what we're being asked to do right now, because we are at a turning point in the new energies, but we also have our big planets turning retrograde. Jupiter will turn at that, and Saturn's already retrograde, Pluto's retrograde. And so it's like our backdrop is kind of like, whoa, okay, now we're rearranging, right? And so, but there is clarity and direction, and finally impetus and energy to draw from. So very, very interesting dynamic times. And I hope you can consider joining today for the solstice. The solstice is in mountain time in the US early in the morning tomorrow, but we're going to do the soul group session today on the 20th. And that soul group session happens at 2 p.m. Mountain time. And a soul group session, what is it? It's a group intuitive session. So it gives you an idea of what an individual session is like with me. And what we're going to do is we go way deeper than the activation. We're going to look at shared past life pictures. So whoever shows up on the call, it'll resonate, because the beautiful thing about the soul group, our supernova tribes, is that as much as we feel so isolated and alone, we're in like a psychic quarantine from each other that we agreed to, but we came in as a group. And so what we experience through lifetimes is very similar patterns, And so when we tap into those patterns and we find those shared patterns, we can just boom. And then it's in the field. Even if supernova souls don't even know they're supernova souls and they're not anywhere near coming to an event, and offering their energy, they can still receive from that field, And so it's so powerful, because what we found in these events, and thank you so much for being a part of this movement, is that every time we come together, no matter how many people are on the call, we're growing this field, and so when it's just like when you're working on a twin flame relationship or soulmate relationship, and then the work you do, even if you're together or apart, your growth affects them and supports them. And this is exactly what happens in our soul groups. And we're also forging pathways to come back together in person and really get down to it, what we're here to do, to put our feet on the ground and dance with the earth and be present and celebrate our existence and show a different way for humanity. And so all of this is preparation for what we're going to be doing. But it's this energetic connection, creating pathways and permission to come back together and receive our team and receive our community. It's all you need. Supernova, it's all you need is to feel like you're moving forward on that sacred path and purpose, and you got your people with you. Everything changes. Right? So this solstice energy is very powerful because we're at this turning point and we want to claim this and we want to anchor in that timeline and come together. And what we do in these sessions is it's making the most of the current energies. It opens us up to get that great guidance and connection to that bigger self that's trying to land. We can clear contractual arrangements, soul group work, some soul retrieval, and perhaps timeline alignment as well typically comes in. So very powerful work. And I hope you'll consider joining us today at 2 p.m. Mountain Time. And I look forward to seeing you there on the next update. Happy solstice, happy turning point. Go ahead, and whether it's now that you make a leap or later, turn away from those old stories and release yourself back into that just opening up to receive the bounty and the abundance of who you really are. And that is your sacred purpose. So thank you so much for being with me. Thank you for being a supernova soul, going through all you've gone through, to be right here, right now for this exciting chapter for us and humanity, living our truth. So I look forward to seeing you soon, hopefully at that soul group session or the next update. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.